Hi everyone. Today is Wednesday, August 29, and a couple things. Um, when you want to get involved in environmental justice work, um, the type of environmental justice that I'm talking about is actually the conceptualization that was developed by Dr. Robert Bullard. And what Dr. Bullard encouraged was for us to actually pay attention to what's happening to the black community as well as poor communities. And environmental justice work is awesome stuff. However, one of the problems with environmental work is that it's very whitewashed. And when you're actually dealing with stuff related to the environment, there should be no form of any type of racism, discrimination, differential, nothing. As a matter of fact, teams that are actually writing policy related to, let's say, environmental hazards to prevent that should actually represent a range of people as well as a range of ages and a range of perspectives. And you don't see a lot of that. So, environmental justice actually talks about diversifying the environmental movement. And one of the beautiful things about this version of getting involved with environmental situations is that it actually brings in much more diverse perspectives that actually work with all entities. And you have like these extremists where they talk about, I think it's called eco-terrorism, where they want to blow up buildings and sort of get rid of all corporations. But that's not what Dr. Bullard necessarily encourages. What he says is that it's important to look at how black communities have been impacted and how marginalized communities have been impacted, so poor communities, and question why there's this pattern to expose those two communities to very awful environmental hazards. So, yeah, get involved in environmental justice work. And you know what? Do this test actually. Wherever you are in the world, just go through your, for example, your central administration, so your government department. The USA is actually very good. Like, for example, under their 44th administration, there was the appointment of a black woman to head the Environmental Protection Agency, which they call the EPA. And under her direction, there was actually the hosting of the first Environmental Justice Summit at the White House, and that was just fucking awesome. So I wish I could have been there because I would have certainly learned a lot. And I did watch some footage on the internet, which I was so thankful that they actually made it available to us. So I did take some notes, and I'm transcribing my notes or whatever, just trying to manage them so that they're a little bit more portable. So when I do come across those notes, I'll certainly share them with you. But get involved in environmental justice, and take a look at some of these activist so-called organizations. They'll come to you, they'll ask you for money, they'll ask you for some kind of charity, but do you see yourself there? Or if you're from that that group that is sort of doesn't have to work as hard as, for example, people like myself, walk into those organizations and then go to whoever you want and say, why doesn't our place of work actually look like the diversity of the planet? And you know what? You also have to do that work as well. So it's one thing for us to talk about, yeah, there's different treatment and stuff, but you know what? We're talking about solutions. We want to hear from yourselves as well, what you're doing to actually collaborate in a way that actually honors nature, because in nature, nature works in sort of a cyclical structure, and there's this flow, and nothing really expands and nothing really is lost, and there's cultural understandings of that, and the point here is that work with nature, and nature will definitely work for everyone. And in these particular environmental movements where it's very white, um, or it's very particular, um, that's what environmental justice addresses. It actually looks at that and says, wait a minute here, you know, there's all this stuff going for these individuals and none going for this that's misrepresented, underrepresented. So Dr. Bullard's stuff, awesome. He actually wrote a text to the Sierra Club, and I think it's quite embarrassing that he actually had to ask the Sierra Club to, pay attention to also, what's happening to the black community and people unlike themselves. So, for those of you out there, you could say, okay, you know what, we don't even have to deal with the Sierra Club, because you know what, we'll just make our own. And what we'll do is we'll navigate the structure so that we actually work with the corporations and say goodbye, to certain infrastructure. Like, you have to address the nasty politics as well, and say, okay, you know what did I actually learn from my ethics? So environmental justice stuff is awesome. I actually was out filming some footage, and I'm going to look at this footage again because I'm trying to break down my videos to like 2 minutes, but sometimes you actually can't articulate the positions well without without the time to actually put the position out there. So yeah, just sharing some thoughts on environmental justice. Actually, Dr. Bullard's text on equal protection, I can't remember, it's in my library somewhere here, but take a look at that text, Dr. Robert Bullard, and he was the one that just said, okay, you know what, geez, these people are just forgetting about the black community and poor communities. So let's try and expand it and expand the protection to these communities as well. And one of the things that's very interesting about the Canadian context is that the perspective that's being developed in the Canadian context is not as progressive as, for example, the United States. So in my work, what I'll be doing is I'll be actually developing the US perspective into the Canadian context, and then other diaspora contexts, because environmental justice, they should actually have an environmental justice commissioner. They should have an environmental justice department. They should actually have a new member of governance that handles environmental justice issues. And where is that stuff? So thanks for watching, and this video is based on the conceptualization of Dr. Robert Bullard. I know I've mentioned that in other videos, and I even have like a legal theory textbook here that I wanted to go through about environmental justice legal theory, and I was just like, you know what, that I want to hear how that perspective is written. So and it's actually a black author from the United States. So thank you, Black USA, and for those that are not a member of the black community, but want to try and learn about some of the things that are going on, then thanks a lot for watching the videos, and your comments are welcomed. I don't censor anything, I just don't believe in that. But I realize that there's just some individuals that have nothing better to do with their time, and they just come onto people's channels or whatever, and they put these things up. But it's good for them to show their stupidity. So I just leave their comments there or whatever. So yeah, thanks for watching.